Okay, so let's turn to diet. Now you have these 3 books, and then we don't want to forget your film either.
Yeah.
So these 3 books in the Genius Trilogy, Foods, Life, and Kitchen. Let's go, if you think that's reasonable, let's go through them one by one. Foods, Life, and Kitchen. So foods. So what were you outlining in that book?
Yeah, so, I think my approach has never been to demonize foods, certainly not whole foods. But with Genius Foods,
You should tell people what a whole food is, just so they know.
Yeah, so whole foods don't have extensive ingredients lists. They are the ingredients. So these are the foods that you tend to find around the perimeter of the supermarket, right? As you alluded to, it's the aisles of the supermarket.
Stay away from the aisles in the supermarket.
Yeah, I mean, you could dip in, now and then to pick up some nice extra virgin olive oil, which has a ton of evidence, in terms of its, its brain health benefits. It's, we now have meta-analyses that show that extra virgin olive oil actually has a profoundly anti-inflammatory effect. And it has it actually shares some of these mechanisms with ibuprofen, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, but chronic use of that drug coincides with heightened risk for cardiovascular events, for example. But extra virgin olive oil is essentially, as anti-inflammatory as a low dose of that drug, but without any of the negative side effects, only good.
Okay, so you could go to the aisles in the supermarket for extra virgin olive oil, but that's...
Vinegars, spices. Spices are actually, few people realize this, but spices, aside from being a, no to low calorie way of jazzing up your food, are actually some of the most concentrated sources of some of these hormetic compounds, polyphenols and the like, which we believe play a role in health, in supporting a healthy gut microbiome and the like. But yeah, generally you want to focus your shopping around the perimeter of the supermarket. And so I'm a huge advocate of the consumption of whole animal source foods and whole plants, which is a very controversial statement to say today. I don't know why, but
why do you think it's controversial?
Well, because we've got billions of dollars of,
Right, so it's not controversial, it's just anti-propagandistic.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah.
with the advertisements being a form of propaganda.
Yes.
Although they're the capitalist version of propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, 73% of the items in your average supermarket are ultra-processed. So
right, and so what's the difference between processed and ultra-processed?
It's a fantastic and important question. So processing is a continuum. You take an apple, you slice that apple, you're processing it to some degree. You blend those apple slices in a smoothie, you're processing it even further, right?
Right,
but ultra-processing, the whole idea of an ultra-processed food, that was actually something, the term was first devised with this nutrient profiling system in Latin America called NOVA. And an ultra-processed food is essentially a food that you couldn't possibly make in your own kitchen if you tried. So these are...
Cool Whip.
Yeah, these are food-like products.
Food-like products, that's right. That's a good one.
That involve...
They're sort of like food, except they're not edible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've gotten to this place in society where we've seemingly ceased to be able to put empirical definitions around anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what happens when you live in the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Really. Words lose their meaning and everyone speaks a different language.
It's incredibly anti-human, right?
That's for sure. Yeah.
And so,
so ultra-processed, so you couldn't make that in your own kitchen. That's a good rule of thumb. So if you couldn't make it in your own kitchen, then perhaps beware of it or be wary of it.
Right. If it comes in a box or a bag and it has, a shelf life that is years, away, if it doesn't expire, if it doesn't rot,
nothing will eat it except you, then maybe don't eat it.
Precisely, yeah.
Okay.